If you see my son, please kill him. Submitted to r/nosleep by papercutsunset. Elton's death would be best for everybody. My wife and I talked it over. We came to this conclusion together. This is the only way. Elton is 6'1", with dirty blonde hair, acne, and easily sunburned skin. He doesn't tan easily. He has 2 major scars and 1 birthmark that can help you narrow it down if you think you see him. There is a mole under his left eye, about the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen. There is a massive, jagged scar on one of his shins, and another stretching from his right ear to one cheekbone. He got stuck in a flash flood while camping one time, and a tree tore him up. I miss my son. I wish I could see him again. I wish he could be the boy he once was. If you see him, I need you to take the shot. I need you to kill him. The issue started a few months ago. As I've gotten older, my memory has gotten a little fuzzier, so I'll try to recall what I can. I know it was the middle of March when he changed. Elton is 20, our second oldest child, so we give him a little more leeway than we do our younger children while he's living at home with us. Or, at least, we did. My wife, Judith, and I didn't mind where he went as long as he kept us posted. Normally, he would spend the year from late August to April in a dorm, and then the summers with us. With the pandemic though, he spent the second semester of this past year at home with us, taking online classes via his computer. Once he got vaccinated, pretty early on, since our county didn't enforce age restrictions and did have plenty of leftover vaccines, he started going out with his friends again. He had some new ones we had never met. He was always on calls with them, or texting them while at the store with his mother. His old friends were in touch with him too, but these new ones seemed to take up most of his time. He left our house at 6:30 p.m. on the 14th or 15th, with the intention of going to a party with his friends or throw axes at this place in the city. He was always a pretty good kid. I thought I could trust him to make good decisions. My wife and I put our youngest to bed at 8:30, watched TV with our second youngest until 10, and then went to bed. We didn't see Elton until the next morning, so he must have gotten in after then. Whatever happened to him? It must have happened while he was out. At the breakfast table the next morning, he looked sick. He was pale and sweaty, like he was dehydrated and ready to fall over any second. He didn't eat much, which was odd. Elton always loved food. Every year, we would take him to a different buffet for his birthday. 20 plates later, he would eat a bowl of ice cream and head home happy and stuffed. Even when he was sick, he would eat inordinate amounts of rice cakes and microwave soup. Not now though. Now, he was resting with his forehead on the table. When Judith offered him some eggs or sausage link with concern in her voice, he groaned and said that he didn't want any. When his younger sister, my youngest daughter, our baby girl, tried to pat his head gently and give him a hug, he swatted her hands away. Pepper started crying, since the rejection stung her. That made Judith cross, and we asked him to leave the table, and he stomped off to do something in his room. Things just got worse from there. Elton wasn't eating like he used to. I thought that maybe something happened at the party he went to and that he was feeling despondent, dejected, or depressed. Maybe he had some sort of stomach bug. I tried to talk to him about it. When he wouldn't speak to me about what was going on with him, I took to leaving hints. Hints in the form of motivational notes and Pepto-Bismol, that is. Call me a bad dad all you want. Hell knows I've called myself that same thing plenty of times. I should have pushed harder. I should have seen what was happening to him. I should have taken him to get checked out or something. My actions were justified by one single thought: he's 20. If he didn't want me to know what was happening, then he didn't want me to know. If he wanted to suffer through whatever was happening, there wasn't really much of anything that I could do other than try to talk to him and feel guilty about how I couldn't help him. My wife has always been the breadwinner. It was for that reason that I was the one in charge of the majority of the chores and cooking. So, about 2 weeks after his behavior changed and he started locking himself in his room, I had had enough. The rest of the house was clean. The only problem was a leak in the pipes under the kitchen sink and a horrible smell I suspected came from his room. When I made him walk his sisters up to the library, I dedicated my time to cleaning some of his room and finding the source of the smell. It was a mess in there, but it always was. Elton was never particularly good at keeping his spaces clean and organized. Was going in there and snooping a violation of his privacy? A little bit, yeah. We had been over this before though. He knew that, if he wouldn't take his dishes and dirty laundry out of his room, I would. It wasn't like I was going through his drawers. My plan was to just get things off of the floor. If I knew my son, and I thought I did, I knew that the source was going to be on the ground buried under a pile of clothes or papers. Elton's room was, in the basement. Our house had 4 bedrooms. There were upstairs, one was downstairs, tucked into the back, opposite the storage closet door that led to the laundry room. I brought the laundry basket in. What I found was appalling. I took a look around the room and started gathering things up in the basket. I found it under the bed. I wasn't sure what it was at first. I'm still not. It was like a sack. That's what I thought it was, at first. It was green, like the colors of the college he went to upstate. I thought it was some drawstring bag he got from school and left an old packed lunch in. It was obvious to me that was the main source of the smell. I sighed, put the laundry basket on his unmade bed and went to reach under to take out the bag. I did, but, in the process, I found 2 things. The first was the body of our neighbor's cat, Jeffrey Starship. I couldn't choke back a quick sob as I took it in. It was under the bed, having been revealed by the removal of the knapsack. It was nearly fused to the wall, crawling with ants and maggots, delicate bones exposed. The second thing was what I was now holding. You see, the knapsack was no bag. I wasn't even sure that it was a sack at all. It was certainly in the shape of one, with a gathering of something at its heavy bottom. As soon as I picked it up and removed it from under the bed, it turned from its original dark green color to something worse, something different. It began to glow with a sickly green light. And it reeked. The carcass of Jeffrey Starship smelled like rot, like enzymes breaking down tissues on that little cat's body. The sack was worse though. It was like every chemical in my sink had been mixed together with spoiled food and human excrement and all sorts of filth. I wanted to drop it. I wanted to throw it on the ground and run away. Just holding this thing filled me with an intense sense of dread and despair. It was like I would never be happy again. It was like the sack was telling me that it would be more productive to sit down on the ground and give myself up to whatever this was. That was stupid, though I told myself that was stupid and vowed to throw whatever this was away. The question remained of what to do about Jeffrey Starship. I didn't want to face my neighbors or tell them what I suspected my son had done. After throwing the weird green stink sack in the garbage can outside, I went to remove the carcass from under the bed and put it in the gutter outside their house. I wasn't going to take the fall for this, and I wasn't about to let my son do the same. Does that make me morally bunk? Probably. That's not the issue here though. With still gloved hands, I removed all of the maggots from the carpet and cleaned it up. Once it was all over, and the weird, goopy, writhing things were gone, exterminated, and tossed out, I sent my wife a text about what I had found. Her reply was that she wanted me to confront him about it when they both were home, and that we would all talk about it together. In the meantime, I was left at home, alone, without much to do other than starting a load of laundry and waiting for it to finish. During that time, the thoughts and fear were all gathering and swirling in the forefront of my mind. There were 1,000 possibilities as to what my son had done and why he had a dead cat under his bed. Maybe the reason for it was a good one. But what reason is there for something like that? I just didn't get it. When my wife finally got home, and it was time to confront our son, I was more scared than I had ever been. Still, we sat him down and tried to talk to him about what happened. "We're concerned, son," I said, leaning forward on my knees. "I'm concerned about something I found in your room. Care to guess why?" "Why were you in my room?" His voice was level but absolutely reeked of resentment and barely restrained anger. "Something smelled, and it was affecting the entire family. I disposed of what I found. Would you care to explain why that was there?" He flipped out. There's no other way to put it. He went insane, tearing apart the house, throwing a fit like I've never seen. He threw a lamp at Judith's head. Thankfully, he missed, and it shattered against the wall into 100 shards of ceramic and metal wire. Judith left the room, having decided to take our daughters out of the house, to her mother's, leaving me alone with Elton. I didn't recognize him. I didn't recognize my son. Once Judith and the other children were gone, Elton stormed out of the house. I don't know how to describe the emotions I felt when I followed him out and he started to dig through the trash. "Why did you kill Jeffrey Starship?" I asked, all the anger, fear, and concern overtaking me. "We needed to feed," he replied, his voice hollow. "What?" "Jeffrey Starship provided the nutrients we need to grow." He rooted through the trash. He pulled out the weird green sack I had thrown away and held it like a teddy bear. When his chest met the weird, rocky flesh of the weird, glowing ask, something changed. Something in the air became more electric and palpable. His voice was one of those things. Everything went cold despite the fact that it was summer. My son's voice was more hollow than it was before. It was robotic, like somebody had put a modulator of some kind directly into his throat. It was like someone, or something, was speaking with him. Earth Father, Father of Elton, you have meddled in affairs you could not possibly comprehend. We are the Merino Collective. We have chosen your son as our vessel, and he has survived the tempering. We will use him to spread our spores, our seed. He is not your son anymore. He belongs to us. Whatever it was that was controlling my son explained their plan, to colonize Earth by spreading the spores contained in their giant green sac and within Elton. And what was I supposed to say to that? How was I supposed to stop him from leaving? Judith tried, she tried to hold them back, to keep him from leaving. He pushed her into our raspberry bush, crushing berries and hurting her in the process. It has been about a month and a half since that day. We lost track of him, of what used to be my son. I know now that he's gone. I know now that he died, or that he was turned into something that isn't human or my son. Elton is gone. The Merino Collective is there, in his place, touring the country. An entire town, the kind that had a factory where they make snack cakes, has already been taken out. It was the next town over. Almost everyone who didn't survive it, seemed to have been poisoned. Those who did either weren't infected in the first place or joined Not Elton in his little journey. I know that Not Elton, whatever he is, was behind it. The alien organism inside his body. It can't keep spreading. I won't let it. My wife and I are looking for him. I have been for weeks. She joins me when she has time off. Whatever that thing is, I know it's not my son anymore. I've done my research. I've quickly learned that this thing is a colonizing force, a parasite, something that will raze towns to the ground and kill everyone in its path. Elton came into contact with it in the woods that night. One of his friends told me he wandered off and came back different. He came back changed. He was no longer my son. He was the Merino Collective. That's why I need the help of others. I don't know where he is. I can't track him, no matter how hard I try. Elton is about 190 pounds, 6'1", with dirty blonde hair and skin covered in keratosis pilaris. If you see him, do not engage. Do not let him give you anything. Do not let him change you. If you see my son, you need to kill him.